Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to part 6 of the conclusion of the life of Imam Hussain and his death at Karbala. Only 50 years after the demise of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family, the leader of the Muslim nation was a man who did not abide by any of the Islamic commandments and openly indulged in sinful behavior. Yazid's family, the Umayyads, with the leadership of his grandfather, Abu Sufyan, were the main enemy of the Prophet and had only converted to Islam after Muslims had conquered their home city of Mecca solely to save their lives. They were not sincere in their belief in Islam and were always looking for their power and benefits. They had the chance to reach power during the time of the second and third caliphs and were able to stabilize their power during the long governorship of Muawiyah. The title that Muslims used for the caliph was literally successor of the Prophet, and they also called the caliph commander of the faithful. Muslims viewed the caliphate as a sacred religious leadership and believed in political obedience despite the character of the person in power. This belief was deeply rooted to the extent that following the legacy of the previous caliphs was part of their faith and a requirement for the new caliph. In this situation, any action against the caliph was interpreted as a false action against the unity of the Muslims and publicly condemned. Imam Hussain knew that he had only two choices: pay allegiance to Yazid or be killed. The Imam had said, "Even if I hide inside a hole, they will finally find me and kill me if I don't pay allegiance." However, the Imam knew that his allegiance would legitimize Yazid as a leader, as well as the Islam propagated by Muawiyah and the Umayyads. Therefore, the Imam pursued the second choice and sacrificed everything he had for the sake of Allah and the awakening of the Prophet's nation. He was martyred in an unprecedented, horrifying, and brutal way, where his family and companions were martyred thirsty, his 6-month-old baby slayed, his head slaughtered, his belongings looted, his ring finger cut off, his body trampled, his family imprisoned, all in the holy month of Muharram, when war and bloodshed was strictly forbidden, haram, in Islam. The Imam made a series of wise decisions to maximize the effects of his martyrdom. The Imam's choice to move from Medina to Mecca, to informing the pilgrims from all over the Islamic territories, accompanying his family, women and children, to witness and carry his message, postponing the battle from the darkness of the night to the daylight of Ashura, and his martyrdom in front of thousands of witnesses, these were all reasons that his message would never be forgotten or misinterpreted. The Imam's martyrdom not only disqualified Yazid as a righteous caliph, but for the first time since the Prophet's demise put an end to the so-called sacred caliphate system in the Islam that was propagated by those caliphs. Shortly after the Imam's martyrdom, a chain of objections against Yazid and the Umayyads initiated, which included the Battle of Al-Harra in Medina, the uprising of Ibn Zubayr in Mecca, the uprising of Tawabin in Kufa, the uprising in Kufa of Mukhtar, who took revenge against the people responsible for the Imam's martyrdom, the uprising of Zayd in Kufa, and the uprising of Yahya in Khorasan. Although these uprisings were defeated by the Umayyads, they removed the legitimacy and the popularity of the Umayyads and the righteous governors and were a basis for the next uprising against them until their destruction. The awakened nation of the Prophet realized that the true Islamic teachings were coming from the family of the Prophet, and they supported various uprisings against the Umayyads. Imam Hussain alayhi salam was called Sayyid al-Shuhada, or Master of the Martyrs, and became a symbol of justice, free will, and liberty. To this day, the message of Imam Hussain continues to resonate. Despite many difficulties and attempts at suppression, millions of people shed tears while grieving him and visit his shrine in Karbala to honor his message. They hope to include themselves as proponents of justice alongside Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Imam Hussain alayhi salam said, "I am the martyr of tears. No believer remembers me unless his tears begin to flow." Thank you for listening today, and I hope you learned something about the story of Imam Hussein's life and death. I hope you will join me again tomorrow, and I will continue to read to you from this book Hussein's revolution with more details about his story and his martyrdom, inshallah. Until then, stay blessed.